Anyone who's seen a so drive knows. Her driving skills are the wildest among all animals. However, in my previous life as a turtle, I was killed by being hit by a sow's car. All because of a global mutation. Everyone would become the last animal they ate. If you ate an egg, you'd easily turn into a harnessed chicken. If you ate duck neck, you'd easily turn into a big rat. But this time, after coming back to life, the first thing I did was eat a T-Rex fossil. Because people who become weak animals hardly survive, only ancient animals that are already extinct on Earth are strong enough, and among them the T-Rex is undoubtedly the best choice. Therefore, I set my sights on the museum where I work. Right then, I secretly poured the sleeping pills I bought into my coworkers' coffee. When they all passed out one by one, I quickly turned off all the surveillance and alarm systems. Then I grabbed a chainsaw and headed to the fossil exhibit area. But just as I was about to start the chainsaw and saw off one of the T-Rex's legs, a small insect fossil in the display case instantly caught my attention. A tardigrade fossil. You know, tardigrades have the strongest survivability on the planet. Even if their heads are cut off, they can grow them back. However, the chance of becoming a hybrid of a tardigrade and T-Rex is not very high. In my past life, I'd only seen some pigs and chickens mutate into flying pigs. Since that's the case, I decided to take several kinds of ancient animal fossils. As long as I could successfully fuse more creatures into the T-Rex, I'd have a fighting chance against myth-level animals in the future. I'd truly have power. With this in mind, I immediately started the chainsaw. Fossil dust began to fly all over the place. Soon, the T-Rex's thigh was sawed off. In an instant, the entire T-Rex fossil collapsed to the floor. After that, I put the sawed-off fossils into an iron pot and crushed them into powder.
Next,
I added small amounts of other fossils like tardigrade, alligator, snapping turtle, pterosaur, over 10 kinds of fossils. Finally, to make it easier for me to eat and devour, I added a lot of water to blend everything into a paste, then lit a fire and started boiling it. When there were about 10 minutes left before the transformation, I picked up the paste and ate it ravenously without a second thought. But just then, the doors to the exhibit hall slammed open. Liao Shangcheng's face appeared at the doorway, his hair bristling with anger as he roared. "You bastard, Chen Nuo. What the hell have you done?" he shouted while frantically taking out his phone to call the police. My eyes grew cold. I grabbed a T-Rex fossil piece nearby and hurled it at him. The rock accurately hit his wrist. His phone fell to the ground with a snap, the screen shattering to pieces. Liao Xiangcheng clutched his bleeding wrist, glaring at me with a mix of fury and hidden fear, thinking that by knocking out our co-workers, no one would find out. "You just wait and see, you're going to jail." I set down the pot in my hand and walked toward him step by step. The chainsaw in my hand hummed again. "You think I'm doing all this for that lousy salary?" Liao Xiangcheng was so scared by the murderous intent in my eyes that he staggered back. But he still tried to act tough. "What are you trying to do?" "Murder means the death penalty." I glanced at my watch. 3 minutes on the countdown. Now's not the time to kill him. The hunt is about to begin. I had to finish the last bit of fossil paste to ensure I fused all the prehistoric genes perfectly. I grabbed the chainsaw in reverse and swung it fiercely in Liao Xiangcheng's direction. Liao Xiangcheng screamed like a stuck pig from the pain and turned to run for the door in utter terror. I didn't chase after him. Instead, I picked up the last mouthful of fossil hot pot from the pot and downed it in one gulp. The scalding paste hit my stomach, and suddenly an indescribable fiery sensation spread from my internal organs, reaching every cell in my body. I could clearly feel the genes of prehistoric rulers from tens of millions of years ago, awakening, fusing, and changing within me. The ferocity of the T-Rex, the resilience of the tardigrade, the speed of the Quetzalcoatlus, the crocodile's defense, all being etched into my DNA bit by bit. Just then, a cold, emotionless voice echoed in the minds of everyone on Earth. I knew the global beast mutation had begun. The screech of brakes on the road, the noise in the moles, the endless traffic in the city, all came to a sudden halt. Everyone froze where they stood, thinking they were hearing things, until the sky was suddenly dyed a blood-red hue. Blood-colored countdown numbers floated over every corner of the city. Meanwhile, Liao Shangcheng who was fleeing by car, was staring blankly at the steering wheel, still cursing and yelling to have me arrested. Suddenly he noticed in terror. The hand gripping the wheel was rapidly growing black bristles and transforming into a fat pig's hoof. Shocked, he jerked the wheel sharply. The truck instantly went out of control, like a wild horse breaking free, crashing straight into the internet cafe's entrance. Mutations were happening everywhere around the world at that moment. On bustling streets, white-collar workers who just ate an egg pancake screamed as they turned into harnessed chickens flapping their wings. Girls munching on duck necks while watching dramas shrank into big gray rats. Wealthy people eating braised beef noodles turned into frantic yellow cows. Roars from animals swept through the entire city. Meanwhile, in the museum laboratory, my transformation reached its peak. My entire skin instantly turned red and feverish, bones crackling explosively. My body expanded and stretched out crazily, my clothes bursting apart at once. A thick, tough armor, covered in pitted patterns, grew over my skin. My jaw extended forwards, and 2 rows of dagger-like sharp teeth erupted in my mouth. My limbs became thick and powerful, and saber-toothed, tiger-like retractable claws popped out from my fingertips, easily able to tear through steel. A pair of Quetzalcoatless wings appeared on my back, folded tightly against my spine at rest. And when unfurled, they could blot out the sky. Every cell in my body was engraved with the tardigrade's regeneration code. Even with a fatal wound, I could instantly heal. In just 10 seconds, a gigantic beast 12 meters long, 6 meters tall, and weighing 8 tons appeared in the museum. I made it. I didn't just mutate perfectly into a T-Rex. I also successfully fused the DNA of more than a dozen ancient apex predators, turning into the world's only prehistoric hybrid. I looked down at my thick, powerful hind legs, at the razor-sharp claws shining coldly, and felt the terrifying bite force in my mouth enough to shatter steel, the explosive power hidden within the wings on my back. Unable to resist, I raised my head and let out a deafening roar. That howl pierced the museum walls, echoing through the entire district. Every animal mutating at that moment, hearing the roar from the top of the food chain, was struck with absolute terror and dropped to the ground, trembling. I didn't even dare to lift my head. It felt unbelievably good. All that oppression from my previous life, hiding in the sewers, not even daring to breathe loudly, was finally unleashed at this moment. I swung my thick, powerful tail. The tip of my tail swept across the laboratory's concrete wall, instantly carving a deep groove into the wall. Right then, a pale blue mirror suddenly appeared in my mind. A display panel. Host: silent species, perfect Tyrannosaurus fusion. Juvenile evolution value: 0.001. So that's how it is. In my past life, I became an alligator snapping turtle. But the reason I stayed weak all my life was because I never killed any living thing and never obtained any evolution points. But in this life, not only am I at the top of the food chain, I also have unlimited potential for evolution. At that moment, a grunting, growling sound came from the door. Liao Xiangcheng was here. He had already completed it, turning into a massive black wild boar over 3 meters long, weighing more than 1,000 pounds. It was because he ran away recklessly, taking a bite out of the wild boar specimen in the museum, that he ended up like this. Now his 2 eyes were blood red, like they could bleed. Staring at me with deadly intensity, he let out an enraged roar. Silent, you took my T-Rex fossil. So it was all for that. You destroyed my only chance. I'm going to kill you, he roared, lowering his head, and charged at me with his sharp tusks. His hooves smashed the ground, sending gravel flying. I looked at him, my eyes full of disdain and cold killing intent. In my past life, it was this beast that tore my sister apart. Now, in this life, he actually dares to come right to me. Liao Shangcheng, I opened my mouth, my deep human voice coming from the throat of a T-Rex. The entire exhibition hall buzzed from the sound. Back when you tore my sister apart last time, did you ever think you'd end up like this? Liao Xiangcheng froze all of a sudden, obviously not understanding what I said. But the ferocity in his eyes only intensified, and he charged at me even faster. I stood completely still, Just as his tusks were about to touch my scales, I suddenly raised my huge forearm and slammed him on the head with a massive swipe. A crisp crack sounded. Liao Xiangcheng's skull was shattered by my swipe on the spot. His massive body instantly collapsed to the ground, twitching twice. Then completely lifeless, I lowered my head and bit into his body in one gulp. The massive bite force crushed his bones instantly. In a few bites, I swallowed the entire wild boar whole. Elite mutant killed successfully. Evolution points gained, 50. Current evolution points, 51 thousandths. A warm current instantly surged through my whole body. I could clearly feel my body getting even stronger. With Liao Shangcheng dealt with, I didn't pause for a second. I turned and viciously swung my tail across the entire fossil exhibition area. All the ancient creature fossils were ground to dust under my terrifying strength. None remained, except the dire Wolf and tardigrade fossils I prepared for my sister in advance. And the tardigrade fossil, I had to destroy these things to reduce the chances of top predators showing up in the future and lessen my competition. Previously, too many people after the mutation racked their brains to find ancient fossils and turned into terrifying predators, which led to countless massacres. Once I did all that, I leaped forward. My 12-meter-long body crashed straight through the museum's tempered glass and jumped outside. The instant I landed, the museum behind me collapsed with a roar. My collision had just destroyed the entire building's load-bearing structure, and combined with the electrical short circuits, a raging inferno broke out in an instant, burning all the wickedness and secrets to ashes. But before I could take another step, blinding police lights kept me from opening my eyes. A full 20 patrol cars surrounded the museum. Over 100 police officers raised their guns, every muzzle aimed right at me. And behind them were over a dozen riot-armored vehicles, their cannons gleaming coldly. I instantly recognized the officer leading them. Li Hu, in my last life, it was this guy who led a squad of cops and blew off my hind leg with a rocket launcher, causing me to miss the best chance to save my sister. His eyes staring at me were full of greed and madness.
He raised his gun and roared, "Brothers."
What we just heard in our heads was real. This dinosaur and that dead pig used to be people. Let's kill this dinosaur and eat his meat. We can become T-Rexes ourselves. Otherwise, we'll only end up as livestock like chickens and ducks. Or fish. His words instantly ignited everyone's greed. Everyone's eyes turned red, and they all chambered their rounds. Bullets rained down on me like a storm. A constant metallic clinking echoed non-stop. Bullets hit my croc-level scales, not even leaving a mark. It was only like getting scratched. I looked at these people blinded by greed, my eyes full of ice. In my past life, everyone believed that eating a mutant animal would let them gain its powers. But not until the very end did they realize. Whatever animal became a mutant by eating a human, it brings no changes at all. It only drives you more insane, until finally you lose all your humanity and become a beast that only lives to kill. I'm advising you not to waste your effort. I spoke up again. My deep, rumbling voice made everyone stop shooting. Their faces were filled with shock as they looked at me. Animals mutated from eating humans won't give you any mutant powers. If you stop now, I'll spare your lives. But if you keep coming after me, I'll eat every last one of you. But my words didn't make them back off. Instead, they made Li Hu even crazier. He can talk. He really was a human before. Guys, go! If we kill him, we'll be on top, he shouted, while hoisting a rocket launcher onto his shoulder, taking aim at me, and pulled the trigger without hesitation. The rocket roared toward me, trailing fire. My eyes went cold. I shifted my body slightly. The rocket almost scraped my scales as it flew past, exploding into a huge crater on the wall behind me. Taking advantage of the reloading moment, I charged straight out. My 12-meter-long body broke into a terrifying speed, and in a flash, I was tearing through the crowd. My thick tail lashed out ferociously, sending 5 or 6 cops flying from the waist instantly. They spat blood and died on the spot. The rest, seeing this, were scared completely out of their wits. The gun in his hand almost slipped to the ground. They finally realized the prehistoric beast standing before them was nothing their little pistols could handle. Li Hu looked at me. I walked toward him, step by step. His legs turned weak from fear. He turned and tried to run. How could I possibly give him that chance? I suddenly leaped up. My 6-ton body landed right in front of him in an instant. Even the ground cracked under my weight. He screamed in terror. He turned to run the other way. But with a single swipe, I pinned him down. My sharp claws pressed lightly and pierced right through his chest. Ding! Successfully killed a common mutant. Gained 1 evolution point. Current evolution points, 511,000. After taking care of Li Hu, I looked up and coldly glanced at the remaining police officers. Everyone was shaking with fear. With a clatter, all their guns fell to the ground. One by one, they collapsed to the floor, too scared to move an inch. I wasn't killing the innocent. I only had one goal: to go home and find my sister Chen Nuo. Before the calamity happened, I warned her over and over, telling her that she couldn't eat any meat today, that she could only eat the vegetables I prepared for her, and canned food, and I even locked her in the basement at home. I told her no matter what noises she heard, not to come out, and to wait for me to come back for her. In my previous life, it was because Liao Shangcheng fired me. I was broke, so I couldn't prepare enough supplies for my sister. That's why she ate that sausage out of starvation, and turned into an easy prey like a rabbit. This time, I prepared for her in advance. A basement packed with supplies. Enough for her to hold out until I return. I must rush back as quickly as possible. Every second late means more danger for my sister. I shook the blood off my claws and turned to leave. I sprinted at full speed toward home. My running speed reached a shocking 60 kilometers per hour, faster than an average car. The mutant animals chaotically fleeing in the streets saw me rushing by, all scattered in terror. None dared block my way. Along the way, I witnessed countless human tragedies. A woman turned into a rabbit, was being hunted and bitten by a man transformed into a feral dog. A driver mutated into an ox, was surrounded and devoured by a group of passengers turned into hounds. I didn't slow my pace. It's not because I'm cold-hearted. It's because I knew very well that at this moment I still can't protect my own sister. I simply have no ability to care about others. First, I need to ensure Nono's safety. Only then am I qualified to deal with anything else. But right when I passed through an intersection, a runaway truck suddenly burst in from the side. It sped right toward the roadside, where a group of terrified elementary school children were huddled together. Inside the truck cab sat a huge Sao, furiously beating the steering wheel, screaming hysterically. It was the same Sao who killed me by running me over in my past life. My eyes narrowed. Without any hesitation, I swiftly changed directions, rushed straight toward the truck. Just a second before the truck would hit the kids, my thick tail lashed out fiercely, hit the truck's front head-on with full force. A thunderous boom echoed. The multi-ton truck was sent flying by the smack of my tail, flipped several times in the air, and crashed hard onto the ground. Completely totaled, the Sao in the cab was thrown out and landed heavily right in front of me. She looked up and saw this giant beast before her, yet showed no sign of fear. Instead, she started screaming wildly. "You damn lizard! How dare you ruin my plan? You must have a death wish," she shouted while opening her mouth, revealing a mouthful of sharp fangs. She lunged at my leg to bite. As she came, I stared at her, my eyes filled with murderous intent. It was this beast who ended my miserable life in my past life. And now I've met her again in this life. When you ran me over in the last life, did you ever imagine you'd see this day? I raised my claw and stomped hard on her body. The 1,000-pound Sao under my foot didn't even get a chance to struggle. She was instantly crushed into a pulp. Successfully killed ordinary mutant. Gained 1 evolution point. Current evolution value, 521,000. The rescued school children were still huddled together in fright, trembling as they stared at me. I lowered my head and tried to speak to them as gently as possible. Quickly find a safe place to hide. Lock doors and windows and don't come out. After speaking, I turned and resumed sprinting toward home, charging forward non-stop. I didn't forget to hunt down those evil mutant animals. Whenever I saw a mad dog attacking humans, or hounds and wild wolves, I took care of them all as I went, partly to accumulate evolution points, and partly because I didn't want more people to end up like my sister did in my past life, falling victim to such tragedy. Within just 1 hour, my evolution value soared to 1,041,000. But right then, a strong smell of blood was carried to my nose by the wind. I suddenly stopped in my tracks. That bloody scent was mixed with a familiar bear odor. In my past life, it was a mutant brown bear that broke into the shelter my sister and I were hiding in and bit off my sister's leg. Even though I fought desperately and drove it away, my sister still bled too much and died in my arms. Following the bloody scent, I walked step by step toward the nearby large supermarket. The supermarket's glass doors were already smashed to pieces. Animal fur, covered in blood, lay scattered at the entrance, along with parts of human remains. Sounds of biting and chilling screams constantly came from inside, and an arrogant roar from a brown bear. I walked up to the entrance of the supermarket and looked inside. A 4-meter-long bear, weighing over 1,000 pounds, was standing in the snack aisle, brazenly gnawing on bodies lying on the ground. Those corpses were all former co-workers of his. Nearby was a pile of picked clean bones. Clearly, this guy in the few hours since mutating had killed countless humans and mutant animals. He saw me standing at the entrance, and not only didn't flinch, he even licked the blood off his mouth and let out a disdainful roar. Food delivered itself right to the door. A puny lizard dares trespass on my turf? I stared at him, murderous intent nearly overflowing from my eyes. That face, that voice, I could never forget, even at death, in my previous life. Just a brown bear. Where do you get the nerve to challenge a prehistoric titan? I replied coldly. The brown bear burst out laughing.
He slapped his chest with both paws, making loud thumps.
A juvenile Tyrannosaurus still dares act tough in front of me. Today I'll show you the terrifying power of a mature beast. I caught on immediately. No wonder he was so fearless. No wonder the bloody smell was so strong around him. The supermarket covered in blood and bodies proved he'd already eaten over 100 mutant animals. At this moment, he'd advanced to the mature stage. Yet my evolution value was just 1,041,000. And I was still only a juvenile. Just as I hesitated, the brown bear moved. His massive body burst forth with speed totally unexpected for his size. He was instantly in front of me. His giant paw whooshed toward my head, slamming down at me with all its force. That paw's strength could easily flatten a small car. I didn't dodge. Instead, I took the blow head-on. A dull thud sounded. My huge body involuntarily retreated 2 steps, leaving 2 deep footprints in the ground. The brown bear saw this and laughed even harder. See that? With your juvenile strength, you aren't even enough to pick my teeth. Today I'm eating this dinosaur to see if I can evolve again. He roared once more and charged at me. His giant paw concealed sharp claws. Apparently that last attack was just a probe. Now he was going all out. But what he didn't know was, the reason I took his hit head-on was just to test the strength of a mature stage beast. He also had no clue that I never fused only T-Rex genes. Facing the charging brown bear, I didn't budge at all. I quickly turned around. My multi-ton tail whipped out with immense force, slammed fiercely at him. Another thunderous crash. My tail and his paw collided with full strength. The brown bear hadn't expected my tail to have such power. He was jolted, forced to stagger back. His paw pad split open. Blood flowed freely, but he remained incredibly confident. He roared, "That's all you've got? You juvenile dinosaur. I've got you."
He lunged at me again,
trying to use his weight to pin me down. But just as he was getting cocky, my massive jaws were already snapping toward his neck. The brown bear crouched low in terror, although he avoided my deadly bite. But just like almost everyone else, he underestimated the power of a T-Rex's forelimbs. In my previous life, everyone thought the T-Rex's arms were short and weak, but only I, as a fossil restoration expert who spent a lifetime studying T-Rexes, knew that, although the T-Rex had short arms, their explosive strength was incredible, enough to tear open prey's flesh in an instant. I suddenly raised my forelimb and delivered a devastating dragon punch right to his jaw. Like the sharp claws of a saber-toothed tiger, it pierced his jaw in an instant, sank deep into his skull. The brown bear let out a piercing scream and rolled around in pain. Blood kept pouring from his mouth. A mature form is just a normal creature's mature form, right? I walked toward him step by step. My cold voice sounded as if from hell. Today I'll show you the absolute gap between species. The brown bear looked at me, and finally fear appeared in his eyes. He turned and tried to run into the supermarket, hoping to use the shelves to block my way. But without his forelimbs, where could he go? Just as he turned around, my claws made a ripping sound and pierced his back. With a fierce tug, I tore his skin and flesh open. Then I opened my massive jaws and bit down on his neck. My incredible bite force kicked in instantly, and I crushed his cervical vertebrae. The brown bear's body jerked twice, and he stopped moving for good. I lowered my head. My sharp claw sliced open his belly. A pitch-black gall bladder appeared in my hand. After becoming a top-tier carnivore, I've developed a primal craving for animal organs. I swallowed the bear gall in one gulp. In an instant, a burning stream of heat surged throughout my body. Ding! Successfully killed a mature mutant brown bear. Received 100 evolution points. Current evolution points, 2,041,000. I was stunned for a moment. Then I was ecstatic. Killing a normal mutant only gets me 1 evolution point. But killing a mature form actually gave me 100 straight away. That's a quantum leap. Just as I was about to continue processing the brown bear's corpse, a sudden deafening roar echoed from afar. The sound of tank tracks, the rumble of armored vehicle engines, the rotors of helicopters approaching from a distance. Getting clearer and clearer, my expression instantly darkened. I knew the human's first round of suppression had begun. 3 hours after the beast's transformation in my previous life, the military started a full-scale operation. They targeted all mutant animals in the city, conducted indiscriminate cleansing. The mutant beasts occupying urban territory were their main targets for elimination. And as for me right now, even though I had fused with dozens of ancient genes, when facing human heavy heat weapons, I still didn't have a guaranteed victory, especially against tank armor-piercing shells and air-to-ground missiles from armed helicopters. These could deal fatal damage to me now. More importantly, my sister is still waiting for me at home. I can't afford to stay here any longer. I turned and rushed into the nearby forest. The dense trees could help block the military's sight, and also hinder tanks and armored vehicles from advancing. But as soon as I entered the woods, a dense line of human troops appeared on the road. Over a dozen tanks, dozens of armored vehicles,
Hundreds of fully armed soldiers.
marching in a neat formation, heading straight in my direction. Why do I have to run into them at this moment? I quickly held my breath, hiding motionless in the bush deep inside the woods, hoping this group passes by quickly. But things didn't go as I wished. The tank at the front of the column stopped right at the edge of the woods. Looks like they're planning to rest here. Hiding in the woods, I instantly grew anxious. Every additional minute waiting means more risk for my sister. If she didn't listen and left the basement, if another mutant beast broke into the house, if I can't let myself imagine further, I can't wait any longer. I turned, ready to circle around the backside of the woods. My massive 12-meter-long body. It's impossible for me to move quietly in the forest. That's simply not doable. I took just 2 steps. The surrounding trees rustled loudly, instantly alerting the soldiers stationed outside the woods. Reporting, sir. There's movement in the woods. Soon a calm male voice sounded. Everyone be on guard. Judging by the commotion, it's most likely a large carnivorous beast. Machine gunners, get ready. Next moment, a row of heavy machine guns started wildly spraying gunfire into the woods. Bullets rained down on the surrounding tree trunks, wood chips flying everywhere. Next, the tank's turret slowly rotated, aiming at the swaying trees, and fired a shell straight at me. Boom! The shell exploded right next to me. The massive shockwave blasted the dirt around me. Even with my crocodile-like scales as armor, I still instantly felt a sharp burn and stinging pain. I've been exposed. I immediately started running in a zigzag pattern to escape, dashing deep into the woods. But just by making that run, my dinosaur-shaped body was instantly revealed to the army. Commander, it's a dinosaur. It's the T-Rex that escaped from the museum. I clearly heard The leading commander Wang Jun gasped in shock. It was him in my past life. This same Wang Jun led the troops and treated my sister Chen Nuo as a precognitive, captured her, tortured her harshly, and interrogated her about how she knew about the transformations in advance. When the tsunami struck, he left my mentally shattered sister, abandoned in the soon-to-be flooded Dakanshi, let her drown in the flood. I stared fiercely at Wang Jun outside the woods. The murderous intent in my eyes felt almost tangible, but I also knew now is not the time to confront him head-on. Even though this dense jungle isn't suitable for tanks to pursue, their heavy weapons still pose a lethal threat to me. Besides, their mission this time is to clear out mutant beasts in Taisu County and protect the humans who haven't mutated yet. My sister is in Saisu County. I didn't waste any more time with them. I unfolded my pteranodon wings, flapped them hard. The powerful lift instantly sent me into the sky, rushing towards Saisu County. Behind me, Wang Jun watched as I disappeared in the sky. He looked furious, but could only watch helplessly. There was nothing he could do. After about 10 minutes of flight, I finally reached the outskirts of Saisu County. Home is inside the town. My sister is in there. I stood on a small hill outside the city, looking toward the county, but what I saw made my heart sink instantly. All over Saisu County, fires and explosions raged. The sound of gunfire was everywhere. The armed forces that attacked me earlier had already taken over the entire town. Mutant beasts terrorizing the city had all been wiped out by them. The surviving humans were gathered by soldiers in the town square, being transported away in groups by military vehicles. My eyes frantically searched the crowd. Soon I spotted a familiar figure, my sister Chen Nuo. She was wearing the white dress I bought for her, being roughly dragged toward a military vehicle by two soldiers. She struggled desperately. Her tender wrists were raw from the handcuffs, tears streaming down her cheeks, crying out over and over, "Don't drag me! Let go of me, my brother hasn't come back yet." He told me to wait here for him. I can't leave. Seeing this scene, my eyes instantly filled with blood. My scales stood on end with rage. Those bastards dare lay a hand on my sister. I want you all dead. I sprang up, about to charge down the hill, but just then, a rustling sound in the woods caught my attention. Two young men holding knives emerged from behind the trees. The moment they saw me, they were scared out of their wits and fell to the ground in shock. "What the hell? Why is there a dinosaur here?" "Shut up or I'll eat you both," I replied coldly, my sharp claws aimed at them. "Who are you? Why are you here?" The older man hurriedly protected his younger brother behind him and trembled as he spoke. "Dino bro, we're residents from town. The soldiers in the county aren't protecting people at all. They're grabbing able-bodied men to send us to the front line against mutant beasts. We escaped to avoid conscription. Dino bro, please spare the two of us." I looked at them and instantly calmed down. I recognized these two. In my previous life, they led Wang Jun to me. Taking over my sister's shelter is the only reason she was captured by Wang Jun. Now I can finally put them to good use. I suddenly reached out with my claw and grabbed the younger brother Wang Sheng. I looked at his brother Wang Yan and said coldly, "Go down the mountain now. Go find out information for me about a girl named Chen Nuo. She lives in the 5th house on Haizi Street. I want to know where they're taking her. If you try anything funny or warn anyone, I'll eat her right away." Wang Sheng was hooked by my claw. His face turned pale with fear. He cried and shouted, "Brother! Save me, brother." Wang Yan was sweating anxiously and quickly nodded. "Big brother dinosaur, please don't hurt him. I'm on it. I'll go now. I'll go right now." After saying that, he turned and sprinted down the mountain. I sat on the mountain top, holding Wang Sheng down firmly with my claw. My eyes were locked on the plaza below. My heart was pounding quickly. "Nuo, hold on. Your brother will come save you soon. This life. I swear I'll never let you suffer again." A little over 10 minutes later, the roar of a motorcycle suddenly came from below. Wang Yan was riding a stolen motorcycle, racing up the mountain like a madman. Trailing behind him, a team of soldiers drove after him relentlessly, shouting constant warnings. Don't go up the mountain. Catch him quickly. Wang Gan rushed to the foot of the mountain, then drove the motorcycle straight into the dense woods. The soldiers with police dogs chased to the edge of the forest, but suddenly stopped. Those police dogs, who normally would even fight tigers, now tucked their tails, shivering all over, lying on the ground, refusing to go any further. They wouldn't budge, no matter what. What's going on? Why aren't the police dogs moving? There must be something wrong in the mountain. At that moment, Wang Gan, gasping for breath, reached me. He was pale and stammered, "Big brother dinosaur. The girl you asked about has already been put in a car. They're about to take her to the headquarters in Dakin City." When I heard the words Dakin City, I immediately grew restless. A chill ran up my spine. In my past life, the Dakin City suffered an unprecedented mega tsunami. Just 1 month after the beast transformation outbreak, a giant wave, 100 meters high. The entire city of Dakin will be completely submerged. Hardly anyone out of the millions in the city will survive. In my previous life, my sister died in that tsunami. No, absolutely not. I must not let Nuo be taken to Dakin City. I raised my head in anger. I let out a deafening roar. The roar echoed through the mountains and forests. It resounded across the entire county. The soldiers at the base of the mountain instantly realized the truth. No wonder the police dogs didn't dare enter the mountain. So the T-Rex was hiding here all along. Wang Jun, the leader, heard my roar. His face instantly darkened with anger. He growled threateningly. "This dinosaur is too much. It's actually been following us the whole time. Assemble the squad and head into the mountains to hunt it down. We have to kill it today." In an instant, 3 fully armed squads carrying heavy weapons started charging up the mountain. As I watched the soldiers rushing toward me, there wasn't the slightest bit of fear in my eyes. Instead, I was filled with cold killing intent. "Since you've come to me yourselves, don't blame me for showing no mercy." I threw Wang Sheng to the side. I roared at him, "Get lost. Don't get in my way here." Wang Sheng and Wang Wan, who just ran over, felt as if they'd been pardoned. They scrambled away as fast as they could. I, on the other hand, charged straight at the soldiers coming toward me. The soldier in front saw my silhouette and was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly lifted the rocket launcher on his shoulder and pulled the trigger at me. The rocket soared toward me with its fiery trail. I tilted my head, and the rocket barely grazed my scales as it passed by. It exploded, shattering the tree behind me. Taking advantage of the time they spent reloading, I charged right into the crowd. My powerful tail swept out fiercely, instantly sending 5 or 6 soldiers flying. They coughed up blood and died on the spot. The remaining soldiers saw my terrifying power and panicked immediately. Some people looked at my real size, my body, and lost all courage to resist, even with guns in their hands. They turned and ran, but how could I possibly let them escape? I began a savage massacre. My massive body rampaged through the crowd, knocking everyone down and sending them sprawling. Every swipe of my sharp claws took a life. In just 1 minute, the 3 squads that rushed up the mountain were torn apart by me. But just as I was getting carried away with the killing, I didn't notice I'd already reached the highway at the base of the mountain. A tank suddenly appeared right in front of me. Earlier, because the trees blocked its way, the tank couldn't enter the mountain. Now it was parked at the roadside. Its dark cannon was already aimed at me. My pupils instantly shrank, but luckily we were really close, which gave me a chance to get up close. Right before the tank was about to fire, I leapt with all my strength and charged straight at the tank. In an instant, I reached its side. "A tank, huh? Watch me rip your lid off." I roared angrily, jumping with all my might, and landed right on top of the tank. My 6-ton body crashed down hard, snapping the cannon and crushing the tank's tracks. I stomped madly on the tank's hull, and the driver inside was knocked unconscious from the impact. But just then, several armored vehicles loaded with heavy weapons rushed in for support. Grenades exploded constantly around me. The violent explosions left gashes across my scales. Blood streamed out instantly. Gritting my teeth, I realized I'd been too reckless just now. If this keeps up, let alone saving my sister, even I might die here. Better to live to fight another day. As long as I survive, there's hope. I spun around and charged into the nearby town. My powerful tail swept hard and knocked down a 3-story building. The collapsed building blocked the pursuing vehicles and obstructed the soldiers' sight.
Taking advantage of this moment,
I spread my wings again and flew rapidly toward Dakin City. My sister had already been taken to Dakin City. I had to catch up as soon as possible. I flew at an astonishing 200 kilometers per hour, even faster than a high-speed train. It would take less than 2 hours for me to reach Dakin City. I sped through the air toward Dakin City. Along the way, I saw countless tragic scenes. Everywhere in the city, buildings were burning. The streets were littered with corpses. Fighting between humans and mutant beasts was everywhere. 2 hours later, I finally reached the skies over Dakin City. The entire Dakin City was now under full military lockdown. On the outskirts of the city, rows and rows of electric fences and barbed wire were set up. Soldiers and armored vehicles were everywhere on patrol. There were also armed helicopters constantly circling in the sky. I landed on a mountain outside the city, scanning the city with my gaze. Very soon, I spotted the tallest building in downtown, the military headquarters of Dakin City. My sister must be held there. But just as I was preparing to sneak into the city, there was a sudden commotion at the highway entrance below the mountain. I looked down and saw that around the toll gate, 8 armored vehicles and 2 tanks were parked. A group of fully armed soldiers were unloading a batch of survivors brought in from nearby cities. And in the crowd, I immediately spotted a familiar figure, Chen Nuo, my sister. She was being escorted by 2 soldiers, her hands cuffed, completely out of place among the other survivors. Her face was pale, her eyes full of fear and helplessness. Yet she still bit her lips stubbornly, refusing to lower her head. Just then, a stern-looking man with shoulder insignia walked over to her and said to the soldiers beside him, "Take her to the headquarters interrogation room. That's Officer Ling." When Chen Nuo heard this, her body shuddered, and tears rolled down her face. She cried out, "Why? I don't want to go. I want to go home. I want to wait for my brother." "Don't be afraid, little girl," Officer Liang said in a deep voice. "Once we're at headquarters, just tell us everything you know and you'll be fine." Watching my sister being put into the vehicle and driven to the military headquarters, I felt a sharp pain in my heart. Lang Zhenyu in my previous life was the deputy commander of Dakin City's military district. He was in charge of interrogating my sister. Unlike Wang Jun, in my past life, he was the only one who was kind to my sister. While Wang Jun tortured her harshly, he was the one who repeatedly stepped in to stop him. When the tsunami struck, he gave my sister his own life jacket and died drowned when he was swept away by the flood. He wasn't a bad person. I breathed a sigh of relief. At least for now, my sister won't be in immediate danger with him. But I'm also very clear. I don't have much time left. The tsunami that hit Dakin City in my previous life will arrive in less than a month. I have to rescue my sister as soon as possible. Take her away from this city that's about to be flooded. For the next 2 days, I stayed on the mountains outside Dakin City, observing the military headquarters defenses, looking for a chance to sneak in. During these 2 days, the mutant beasts around Dakin City were almost entirely wiped out by the military. The human survivors were all trying everything to get to Dakin City, because this was the safest central city in their eyes. But they didn't know this place was about to become a tomb. The more people tried to get to Dakin City, the harder it would be for me to find my sister and take her away. I had to think of a way to stall the military convoy, to buy time to save my sister. That night, I took action. I spread my wings and flew to the major highway bridge leading to Dakin City. This bridge spanned the entire river and was the only way into Dakin City. The bridge was all reinforced concrete, stretching for over a dozen kilometers. 6 load-bearing pillars, each over 1.2 meters in diameter, were sunk deep into the riverbed. I landed inside one of the bridge's underpasses and stared at the thick pillar in front of me without the slightest hesitation. I suddenly turned around and swung my massive tail, slamming it hard. There was a huge bang, and the concrete around the pillar instantly cracked open, revealing the steel bars inside as thick as a bowl. Next, I opened my bloody mouth wide, using enough bite force to chew through steel. and bit down hard on the rebar.
Crunch.
The rebar, as thick as a bowl, was bitten right through. I bit through one bar after another, destroying the bridge's load-bearing pillars. When the first pillar finally snapped completely, the vehicles on the bridge immediately felt a violent tremor. After that, I went crazy, smashing the other pillars. After over 10 minutes, the vehicles on the bridge began swaying left and right non-stop, and cracks started to appear all over the road surface. Many vehicles started crashing into each other one after another. The whole bridge was instantly jammed solid. A chubby guy got out of his car cursing, wanting to see what was going on up ahead. But when he walked to the car that had rear-ended him, his eyes went wide in an instant. He let out a terrified scream. He saw that in the driver's seat of that car sat a striped tiger, staring at him coldly. Holy crap, it's a tiger! It was a person who changed. His scream instantly ignited everyone's emotions. Someone shouted, "Kill him! Anyone who turns into an animal deserves to die. Yeah, kill him!" Shouts to beat him to death erupted one after another. Suddenly, the entire bridge was filled with noise. The Siberian tiger in the driver's seat watched as the crowd surrounded him. There was coldness and pain in his eyes. He let out a deafening roar. Deep down, I still consider myself human. You'd better not mess with me. I'm heading to the Dakuan City Surrender Center. This city belongs to us humans. You are no longer human, a man shouted, raised his training gun and fired at the tiger. The bullet hit the tiger's fur, creating just a spark. The Siberian tiger instantly became furious. I didn't want conflict. You forced me. Brothers, come out. After a tiger's roar, a giant rhinoceros instantly knocked off the truck roof, charging out of the cargo compartment. Then, a strong wild yak rushed out as well. Finally, a leopard streaked through the air, in a graceful arc, landing right beside the tiger. The crowd was immediately frightened. They quickly retreated, their guns shaking uncontrollably. A single training gun is no match for so many fierce mutant beasts. The leopard yawned and lazily said, I told you so. You shouldn't have driven, but you insisted, and now look what happened. The Siberian tiger ignored him, swung hard at the truck compartment, roared at the crowd, if you don't want to die, get out of my way. But just then, a violent tremor came from underneath the bridge. The whole bridge began to shake uncontrollably. Cracks in the road widened and grew deeper. Everyone instantly panicked. No one cared about anything else now. The tiger screamed and turned to run. But at that moment, a woman's scream rang out again. Everyone followed her gaze and saw under the bridge arch a massive Tyrannosaurus Rex slowly walking out. It was me. The leopard narrowed its eyes, watching me cautiously. Why is there a dinosaur here? Is he going to surrender too? The Siberian tiger instantly noticed something was wrong. He looked at the broken support pillar behind me and roared, No! He's destroying the bridge! Stop him now. But the rhino next to him asked a soul-searching question. Can we really fight a dinosaur? What are you afraid of? All four of us together can't take down a lizard. The Siberian tiger roared and charged straight at me. Why are you destroying the bridge, dinosaur? We're going to Dakuan City to help humans fight mutant beasts and protect our home. Why are you stopping us? I looked at him and couldn't help laughing. What are you laughing at? The Siberian tiger growled. Have you lost all humanity? So naive. I spoke coldly. You really think that once you get to Dakuan City, humans will accept you? They'll only treat you as test subjects. They'll dissect you and study your past lives. All four of you went to Cheng, and humans caught you and dissected you alive. The Siberian tiger was stunned and clearly didn't understand what I said, but he still refused to give up. He charged at me again. I didn't bother wasting words with him. With a sudden swing, my tail struck him hard. There was a loud crash. The Siberian tiger flew like a broken kite and slammed hard into the ground. Blood sprayed from his mouth. Under my heavy blow, the bridge finally couldn't hold on any longer. The whole bridge structure began to collapse crazily. Cracks spread like a spider web. The bridge is about to collapse. Run now. The crowd on the bridge instantly fell into chaos. Screaming, they fled in all directions. I turned to leave the area, but at that moment, the The Siberian tiger, who'd regained his strength, blocked my path again. The leopard leapt down from behind me. The wild yak and rhino took positions to my left and right, surrounding me. You destroyed our chance at survival. You'll never leave here alive today. The Siberian tiger roared and charged at me again. The wild yak and rhino attacked at the same time. Meanwhile, the leopard kept moving around, looking for a chance to sneak attack. I stared at them with cold eyes. Since you're determined to die, I'll grant your wish. With a sudden burst of strength, I charged at the Siberian tiger. I lunged for his neck. He quickly dodged, but my front paw struck him hard, instantly shattered his bones. Then I turned around and whipped my tail, directly knocking the leopard flying, slamming it into the broken bridge railing, killing it instantly. The rhino lowered its head and used its sharp horn to charge at my belly. I leaped up suddenly, stomping down on its head, and pushed its whole head into the bridge surface. Only the wild yak was left staring at me, shaking all over in fear, and ran off. Of course I wouldn't let him escape. I spread my wings, swooped forward, and pierced him with one claw. In just 1 minute, all 4 elite mutants were killed by me. Ding! Elite mutant successfully slain. Gained 40 evolution points. Current evolution points, 2,441,000. Just then, the roar of helicopter blades echoed across the sky. 3 armed helicopters flew in. Spotlights locked onto me. Target acquired. Confirmed Tyrannosaurus Rex. Several beast corpses nearby. A command immediately came from the military district command room. Level 1 danger. Kill without mercy. The next second, countless bullets rained down, pouring toward me. Cannon shells exploded all around me. My scales were ripped open by explosions, and blood instantly gushed out. I just finished dealing with those 4 ferocious beasts, so I was already worn out.
No.
These 3 attack helicopters pose a huge threat to me. Humans just won't let up. Clenching my teeth, I dove into the river under the bridge. My Azure Dragon genes instantly activated. In the water, I sped forward like a torpedo. The dark river surface quickly made the helicopters lose their target. I traveled over 10 kilometers in the river and finally crawled onto the shore, exhausted. My wounds began to heal rapidly, thanks to the regenerative abilities of the water bear. But deep down I knew, in my juvenile form, I could never withstand humanity's powerful firearms. I had to evolve into the mature form as soon as possible. In the following days, I started hunting like crazy, targeting mutant beasts around Dakin City. Any mutant beast that committed evil deeds, any mature mutant beast, all became my hunting targets. Killing 1 mature mutant beast granted 100 evolution points. In just 5 days, I hunted 7 mature mutant beasts. My evolution points skyrocketed to 9,441,000. I was only 56 points away from evolving to the mature form. And just then, I finally found a chance to sneak into the military headquarters. A huge beast tide broke out around Dakin City. Millions of mutant beasts surged toward Dakin City. Most of the troops in the military district were dispatched to the front lines for defense. The headquarters became understaffed in an instant. Now's the time. That night, I spread my wings and silently flew above the military headquarters. I activated the size-shifting gene from the tardigrade. My massive body shrunk at a pace visible to the naked eye, eventually becoming a mini T-Rex the size of a palm. A new ability I unlocked after fusing tardigrade genes. I silently slipped in through the ventilation duct of headquarters and crawled inside, making my way toward the interrogation room. Soon I found the interrogation room holding my sister. I looked inside through the glass on the door. My sister Chen Nuo was wearing her school uniform, sitting on the chair with lifeless eyes. Her little face was pale. She'd lost a lot of weight. Her lips were cracked and dry. Clearly, she hadn't eaten or drunk well these past 2 days. The 2 police officers questioning her looked helpless. Obviously, they hadn't gotten any answers out of her in these past days. At that moment, the door to the interrogation room opened. Liang Zhenyu walked in. He told the 2 police officers, "You can leave now. I'll talk to him myself." The 2 officers saluted and walked out. In the interrogation room, only Liang Zhenyu and my sister remained. Chen Nuo glanced up at him, her eyes full of wariness, and said hoarsely, "It was you who had them bring me here. My name is Ling Zhenyu. I'm the deputy commander of the suppression force in Dakin City." Lang Zhenyu pulled up a chair, sat down across from him. He spoke gently, "Young lady, I'm really curious. Right now, Dakon City is one of the safest cities in the country. There are no rampaging animals, no riots. Why do you insist on going back?" Chen Nuo's emotions suddenly became agitated. Tears fell instantly. "I have to wait for my brother. He promised me. He'll come find me. He will definitely come. I know all about your situation." Yang Zhenyu looked at him. His eyes were full of confusion. "But what I need to know now is why you stocked up early, hiding in the basement and sticking to a vegetarian diet. You didn't even gain weight, not even when your favorite braised pork was around. And that was during New Year's." Chen Nuo's eyes flickered. She lowered her head and whispered softly, "I couldn't afford meat." Smack. Lang Zhenyu slapped a list of supplies on the table. He said sternly, "Chen Nuo, in your basement, there are over 100 pounds of fresh vegetables alone, 10 boxes of canned fruit, enough drinking water and compressed biscuits to last you half a year. And yet you tell me you couldn't afford meat. Did you already know about the catastrophe?" Chen Nuo pursed her lips, clenched the hem of her shirt with all her might, refused to say another word. I watched this unfold from outside the door. My heart felt a sharp pain. My foolish little sister endured 2 days of interrogation just to protect my secret of being reborn. She didn't say a word, not a single thing. I couldn't hold back any longer. Rushed right in. Ling Zhenyu saw the mini T-Rex storm in suddenly. His face changed instantly. He quickly drew his sidearm, aimed it at me. But as soon as Chen Nuo saw me, she froze for a moment. Then tears burst out like a broken dam. They gushed out instantly. She rose from her seat abruptly and threw herself at me, wrapped her arms around my shrunken body, crying out, "Brother, brother, you finally came. I knew you'd come to save me." I rubbed my head gently against her face, and in a voice only the two of us could hear, softly said, "Nuo, Nuo. Sorry, brother is late. I made you suffer." Liang Zhenyu watched this scene before his eyes, completely stunned. The gun in his hand nearly slipped to the floor. He never expected that this T-Rex who barged in was actually Chen Nuo's brother. It suddenly made sense to him why Chen Nuo knew about the mutation in advance, why she was so well prepared. Because her brother knew about it all along. I raised my head and gave Lang Zhenyu a cold look. My body suddenly grew bigger before everyone's eyes. 3 feet, 10, growing to 35, 50 feet, and then 100 all in seconds. I restored my massive 12-meter-long form. The interrogation room burst apart under my huge body. Lang Zhenyu was blasted out by the shockwave. He crashed heavily in the hallway.
He looked up at this giant beast before him.
Eyes full of fear. The entire military headquarters was instantly filled with blaring alarms. Countless soldiers rushed in, guns raised, charging toward us. They surrounded the whole corridor, no way in or out. Lang Zhenyu climbed off the ground, raised his gun and shouted at me, "Chen Mo! Let go of Chen Mo, or I'll open fire." I shielded my sister behind me and looked at him coldly and said, "Ling Yanyu, I don't want to fight you. In my past life, you saved my sister's life. This time, I won't kill you. But no one can stop me from taking my sister away." My words left Ling Zhenyu stunned. In my past life, he never understood what I was saying. But just then, the soldiers charging in already had their guns trained on me. "Commander, do we shoot?" Lang Zhenyu looked at my sister hugging my leg, her face full of terror, but still stubbornly staring at his Shen Mo. Then he looked at me, the T-Rex who could destroy headquarters by itself. He finally set his gun down slowly. "Lower your weapons," he shouted at the soldiers. "Commander," I said. "Lower your weapons." Li Yanjinyu shouted again. The soldiers looked at each other, but in the end they lowered their guns. I looked at Li Yanjinyu, surprised for a moment. "Yan Zhenyu, I know you don't believe me." I looked at him and said seriously, "But I need you to know, in less than 20 days, 100-meter-high tsunami will sweep over Dakon City. By then, this city will be completely submerged. Not one survivor out of hundreds of thousands. What did you say? Lan Zhenyu's face changed. A tsunami! Impossible! Daqin City's sea defenses are impenetrable. How could a tsunami possibly submerge the city? Impenetrable? I sneered. That's exactly what you all thought last time. But in the end, less than 1% survived. I tossed a hard drive to him. Including your military's sea defense deployment map, and the exact date and route of the tsunami. See for yourself. Lan Zhenyu picked up the hard drive, his hands shaking. He knew that deployment map was top military secret. Only him and a few senior officers could possibly know about it. No outsider could have known. The T-Rex before him might be telling the truth. It was probably real. Believe it or not, I'm taking my sister now. I looked at him and spoke again. If you don't want all those people to end up buried at sea, evacuate as soon as possible. After that, I lowered my head and spoke softly to my sister. Nuo Nuo, let's go. Chen Nuo nodded hard, hugging my neck tightly. I spread my pterosaur wings and gave a mighty flap. A powerful force carried us into the sky immediately, as countless soldiers looked on in shock. I took my sister and flew toward the mountains outside Daqin City. The moment we left headquarters. Just then, I finally felt a weight lift from my heart. I finally rescued my sister. This time, I'll never let her leave my side again. We reached the safe house in the mountains. It's a shelter I prepared in advance. It's fully stocked, completely safe. My sister hugged my neck and cried for a long time, until she finally calmed down. She looked at my huge T-Rex body, eyes full of admiration. Smiling, she said, "Brother, you really became a T-Rex. You're so awesome." I smiled and nuzzled her face with my head. My heart was filled with tenderness. This is the reason I was reborn. Protect my sister well. For the next few days, I took my sister into the mountains to hunt mutant beasts, accumulating evolution points. I prepared powdered fossil ground sloth for her, and fragments of tardigrade genes. So when she mutates, she can become the safest and strongest ground sloth, possessing the same immortality as me. And on this day, I hunted down a mature mutant giant crocodile, gained 100 evolution points. My evolution points finally reached 10,441,000. Ding, evolution points maxed out. Starting evolution. Suddenly, an indescribable scorching sensation swept across my entire body again. My body began to grow rapidly. All the fused genes, fully and perfectly merged at this moment. The ferocity of Tyrannosaurus rex, the immortality of tardigrades, the speed of pterosaur, defense of Dinosuchus, bite force of Dunkleosteus, dynamic vision of Shiji, control of Mosasaurus, sharpness of saber-toothed tiger, heaviness of mammoth, all fused into one. My body length soared from 12 meters to 20 meters. Height reached 8 meters. Weight surged to 20 tons. Bite force reached a terrifying 20 tons. The hardness of my scales was enough to withstand tank armor-piercing rounds. With wings spread, I could even fly at supersonic speed. I successfully evolved to the mature stage. I tilted my head to the sky and let out a deafening roar. The entire forest trembled slightly. All the mutant beasts cowered on the ground in fear, quaking with fright. And just as my evolution finished, my sister's mutation began as well. She ate the powder I had prepared for her, the ground sloth fossil powder. Her body started to transform. But just then, an accident happened. My sister's body suddenly convulsed violently. Her face turned pale. Her breathing grew faint. Gene fusion failed. I panicked instantly. I had never encountered anything like this in my previous life. Looking at my sister suffering, my heart felt like it was being tightly squeezed. Without any hesitation, I used my claws to tear open my own scales and let out blood infused with all my fused genes, feeding it little by little to my sister's mouth. My blood contained the regenerative genes of the tardigrade, as well as the fused blood of all ancient creatures. It has to save her. I fed her for a full 3 minutes. My sister's convulsions finally stopped. Her body began to stabilize and transform again. Eventually, she became a ground sloth 8 meters long, weighing 5 tons. Her whole body was covered in tough fur. She had incredible strength and defense, and possessed the same regenerative ability as me. More importantly, she could still speak. She was still the little sister who would cuddle up to her brother. She clumsily ran to my side and rubbed her head against my leg. She smiled and said, "Look, I've become really strong too. From now on, I can protect you. You don't need to keep protecting me." Looking at my little sister's radiant smile, my eyes instantly filled with tears. The regrets from my previous life were finally fulfilled at this moment. But just then, from the distant shoreline, came a deafening roar. I suddenly looked up toward the sea. I saw a wall of water, 100 meters high, racing forward at a terrifying speed, sweeping toward Dakun City. The tsunami came 3 full days earlier than in my previous life, because I was reborn. The timeline had already been completely changed. I stared at that sky-blocking wall of water, my eyes filled with gravity. In my past life, this tsunami drowned the entire Dakun City, and millions were buried at the bottom of the sea. Even though I warned Long Zhenyu in advance this time, there still wasn't enough time for them. "Brother, what should we do?" My sister looked at me, her eyes full of worry. I looked down at my sister, then glanced into the distance, at Dakin City about to be swallowed by the tsunami. I took a deep breath. In my past life, I was a snapping turtle hiding in a sewer, unable to even protect my own sister. But this life, I'm a Tyrannosaurus Rex, a prehistoric overlord, apex predator of the earth. I can't just watch helplessly as millions are swallowed by the sea. I know, wait right here. Don't go anywhere. I looked at my sister and said seriously, "I'll be right back. Brother, I'm going with you. I want to help too." My sister insisted stubbornly. I looked at her and finally nodded. "All right, we'll go together." I spread my wings, and my sister held onto my neck. Together we raced toward Dakun City. By now, Dakun City was in complete chaos. Piercing alarm sirens echoed across the city. The coastal defenses had already been shattered by the first wave of the tsunami. 100-meter-high waves loomed like a gigantic beast, opening its blood-red maw, about to completely devour the entire city. People in the city screamed, crying and running madly toward higher ground. But no matter how fast they ran, how could they possibly outrun the tsunami? Liang Zhenyu stood on the tallest building, watching the oncoming tsunami, his eyes full of despair. He had organized the evacuation, but there just wasn't enough time, barely enough to get anyone out. Were the millions of people in Dakun City really all going to die here? Just when everyone was consumed by despair, a deafening dragon roar shook the entire sky. Everyone looked up toward the sky and saw a massive 20-meter-long Tyrannosaurus Rex, unfurling wings that blocked out the sun, carrying a giant earth dragon, soaring to the front of the tsunami. That was me. I stared at the 100-meter-high wave before me, without an ounce of fear. I activated the Azure Dragon gene, channeling all my strength into one point. I charged straight into the giant wave, slamming my 20-ton body right into the forefront of the wave. With a thunderous crash, I forcibly used my own body to block the impact of the first wave. The whole world seemed to freeze in that moment. Everyone running stopped in their tracks, wide-eyed, staring up at the sky, at the T-Rex stopping the tsunami with its body. Lan Zhenyu gazed at my figure, his eyes filled with shock and guilt. He finally understood. Everything I warned him about was true. But the first wave of the tsunami was only the beginning. Even higher, scarier waves followed, rushing toward us. Gritting my teeth, I activated the tardigrade's regeneration power. Even if the waves shattered my scales and broke my bones, I could heal instantly. I gathered my strength again, using my Azure Dragon gene to manipulate the water currents, diverting the incoming waves, bit by bit toward the uninhabited areas. My sister also rushed up, using the Earth Dragon's abilities to help me block the water. We, as siblings, became 2 insurmountable dams, blocking the way to Daekun City. The battle lasted a full 3 hours. When the final wave was completely diverted to the uninhabited zone by me, I finally let go, collapsing from the sky and landing heavily on the beach. My sister quickly ran over, hugging my head, crying out, "Brother! Brother, are you okay?" Panting for breath, I nuzzled his face with my head and said, smiling, "Silly girl, I'm fine. Your brother is a T-Rex. It's not that easy to kill me." And just then, Countless people came running onto the beach. Lan Zhenyu led his soldiers, and countless survivors gathered in front of me. Looking at me, their eyes showed none of the previous fear, only awe and gratitude. Lan Zhenyu walked up to me, stood up straight, and gave me a standard military salute. Mr. Chen Nuo, on behalf of the millions of survivors in Dao Kon City, thank you. Behind him, all the soldiers and all the civilians deeply bowed to me. Thank you, T-Rex. Thank you for saving us. Voices of gratitude echoed across the entire beach. Looking at them, my heart was overwhelmed with emotions. In my past life, I was a snapping turtle that survived for 2.5 years, then died miserably. This time around, I was reborn as a T-Rex, not only protecting my sister, but also saving the city and millions of lives. I raised my head, gazing into the distant sky, knowing the beast apocalypse was far from over. Jinghao is reborn, T-Rex in the beast evolution. I fused with the prehistoric overlord. As the salty, fishy wind of the receded tsunami blew, I lay on the beach for a full 10 minutes to recover, barely able to get my massive body up. The tardigrade's regeneration ability was running at full force. My cracked scales, healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The spectators watched me, no longer showing any sign of fear at all. Instead, many bowed repeatedly with reddened eyes. Lian Zhenyu hurried to me, holding a military-grade first aid kit. Even knowing I could heal myself, he still carefully tried to tend to my wounds. Behind him, a few soldiers carried large buckets of fresh meat, all freshly delivered beef from the cold storage. Mr. Chen Nuo, thank you for saving the whole city. Lan Zhenyu's voice trembled slightly, his salute staying firm for a long time. These supplies are a token of gratitude from everyone in the city. I looked down at the buckets, thousands of pounds of fresh meat. The instincts of a T-Rex took over instantly. After evolving into my adolescent form, my appetite had tripled at least. Fighting the tsunami had drained all my strength, and my stomach was already growling with hunger. I wasn't polite to him either. I opened my massive jaws wide. With a few bites, I gulped down several buckets of fresh meat. The warm meat landed in my stomach. It instantly turned into a rush of warmth that surged through my whole body. Ding! Energy replenished successfully. Body damage 100% repaired. Current evolution value, 1,044,200. Unlock Stage 2 Growth Level Access. I was momentarily stunned. Then I was overcome with joy. So after evolving to growth level, the evolution value limit actually doubled. And just now, when I withstood the tsunami, I actually unlocked the Stage 2 access. This feels amazing. I flicked my tail. The tip of my tail swept across the beach, right on the hard sand. I carved a trench several meters deep. The power of Stage 2 growth body is a full 2 times stronger than Stage 1. Liang Zhenyu watched the power of my casual strike. The awe in his eyes deepened. Just then, the urgent roar of car engines came from afar. A dozen military vehicles sped toward the beach. Before the cars even stopped, a man in military uniform jumped off one of the vehicles. I recognized him at a glance. It was Wang Jun, the one who captured my sister and tortured her in my previous life, and finally threw her into the flood, the main culprit. My body instantly tensed up. Every scale on me stood on end. A low, threatening hiss rumbled from my mouth. My 20-meter-long body arched slightly, ready to strike a fatal blow at any moment. Nono immediately stood in front of me. She couldn't care less about anything else, digging herself firmly into the ground. She roared furiously at Hengjun as he charged over. Even though she had just started this, even though she was shaking with fear inside, she still shielded me stubbornly. Seeing my little sister's tiny body standing in front of me, my eyes welled up instantly. In my previous life, I risked everything to protect her. But in this life, she'd actually learned to protect me. This scene hit the softest spot in my heart. Liang Zhenyu instantly drew his gun too, and shouted sternly at Wang Jun. Wang Jun, what do you think you're doing? But Wang Jun didn't pull out his gun. Instead, he stopped just a dozen meters away from us. With a thud, he knelt straight down facing my sister and me. This iron-blooded tough guy, in his previous life, a man who didn't even flinch on the battlefield, actually had tears in his eyes now. He bowed 3 times to my sister, knocking his head hard on the ground. He made a promise to her. I'm sorry. It was my fault in the last life. That one sentence completely stunned me. I was totally baffled. What was going on? How could he possibly know about the past life? Wang Jun lifted his head. His face was full of guilt and pain. He slowly revealed a truth I had never known. In the previous life, he really did lock my sister in the interrogation room, but he never intended to harm her. At the time, there was a mole among the military higher-ups who had set their sights on my sister, the one who had known about the coming disaster in advance. They wanted to capture her for live experiments, to study her ability to foresee the future. After Wang Jun found out, the only thing he could do was claim it was for harsh interrogation and lock my sister in his own interrogation room. In this way, he was actually protecting her by keeping her nearby, but she didn't realize. The tsunami hit too fast, and the mole started the rebellion early. She was tangled up with the rebels, unable to get away. All she could do was order her subordinates to evacuate with my sister first. But on the road, her team was attacked by mutant beasts. And in the end, my sister was still swept away by the flood. She herself, amid that rebellion, was shot by the mole from the shadows and died in the tsunami. She too was reborn and came back. An hour before the beast mutation started, the very first thing she did was personally execute the traitor from her previous life, then led her troops to Tsaisu County just to find her sister and keep her safe by her side to make up for what she owed in the last life. When he saw me on the mountain, he wasn't trying to kill me. He was worried I'd rush down impulsively and get caught in crossfire from the other soldiers. That's why he gave the order to sweep the mountains. But in fact, it was to keep the other soldiers at the foot of the mountain, giving me a chance to save my sister. After I heard all this, I was totally frozen. My mind was buzzing. The person I hated my whole previous life was actually the one desperately trying to protect my sister. This twist hit me completely off guard. Nono was stunned too. The hostility in her eyes faded away, leaving only total shock on her face. Liang Zhenyu was stunned as well. He'd been teammates with Wang Jun for more than a decade, and never knew there was such a hidden backstory. Wang Jun kowtowed to us again. With a hoarse voice, he said, "Mr. Chen Nuo, Miss Chen Nuo, my life now belongs to you siblings. From now on, my life is at your command. No matter where you send me, I won't complain, not one word." After saying that, he immediately pulled out the grip of his sidearm and handed it to me to show his sincerity, seeing the honesty and guilt in his eyes. Then looking at my sister beside me, I finally slowly lowered my guard. The grudges of the past life, since the truth is this, are now wiped clean. Besides, with the enemy at our doorstep, one more ally means that much more strength. I swung my tail and pushed his gun back to him. "Get up. The past is over now. From now on, don't let Nono suffer even a bit." Wang Jun suddenly looked up, a wild joy bursting from his eyes. He saluted deeply again. "Yes, I guarantee the mission will be accomplished." Gained the loyalty of the military's elite unit, unlocked full access to the military's resources. Awesome, I just got the nemesis from my past life on my side, and took control of all military resources. This round is pure profit. Right at that moment, Wang Chan's radio suddenly blared with urgent cries for help. "Report, sir. Bad news. The West City defense line has been breached. A giant mutant beast has appeared. We can't hold it back. We've already lost more than a dozen brothers. Requesting backup. Requesting backup." Wang Chan's expression changed instantly. Liang Zhenyu immediately tensed up. "What's happening? Wasn't the west side just cleared out? Where did this giant mutant beast come from?" "No idea, this thing is way too fast. Its hide is thick as armor. Bullets do absolutely nothing to it. It has already smashed through 3 lines of defense." My eyes flashed with a cold glint when I heard that. We just took care of the tsunami, and now this thing shows up looking for trouble. Perfect time to test my stage 2 evolved strength. "I'll check it out." I said a word to Liang Jinyu and Wang Jun, then spread my massive Fengshen pterosaur wings and flapped hard. With a huge surge, I was instantly lifted into the sky. Nono quickly grabbed onto my wing and flew out with me. Wang Jun and Liang Zhenyu also jumped into the vehicle and led the troops rushing to the west side. In just a few seconds, I was already flying over the west defense line. Looking down, my pupils shrank abruptly. The west defense line had already been ripped to pieces. Armored vehicles flipped over everywhere. Flaming cars and soldiers' corpses all over the place. And right at the center of the line stood a giant wild boar a full 15 meters long, covered in hair like steel, with half-meter-long tusks jutting from its mouth. And eyes blood red with madness and hatred. That face, I'd recognize it even if it turned to dust. Liao Xiangcheng, he's actually still alive. I instantly realized, in the previous life I swallowed him whole, but this time he's also been reborn. In the museum just now, what I shattered wasn't even his skull. It was just a decoy he'd set up with illusions. After he escaped the museum, who knows what methods he used, but he fused with several ancient animal fossils and evolved into the mature stage too. This plot twist instantly made my entire body boil over with killing intent. Liao Xiangcheng also spotted me up in the sky. He threw back his head and let out a wild roar. Chen Nuo, you bastard. I've waited for this day a long time. Last time you ate me whole. This time I'll tear you to pieces. Isn't your sister your lifeblood? Well, today I'll tear her apart right before your eyes. I'll rip her to shreds. With a roar, he exploded with power and charged at the nearby soldiers.
His razor-sharp tusks
Instantly pierced the steel plate of an armored vehicle. The soldiers inside didn't even have time to scream. They died on the spot. Seeing his crazed look, my killing intent nearly burst out. In my lost life, he tore my sister apart. And this time, he's still coming after Nono, looking for death. I folded my wings and dropped from 20 meters high like a meteor. My 20-ton body crashed hard right in front of Liao Xiangcheng. The ground erupted into a huge crater under me, sending rocks flying. Liao Xiangcheng. I opened my mouth, my deep voice sharp with icy hatred. In our last life, what you owed me. What you owe Nono. Today, we'll settle everything principal and interest. Just you, Liao Xiangcheng, laughing hysterically. Mo, do you really think I'm still that loser you could push around before? I've also fused with over a dozen ancient fossils now. Whatever too. And what you don't have, I still have. As soon as he finished speaking, his body suddenly expanded violently. He instantly grew from 15 meters to 20 meters tall. A pair of wings sprouted from his back. The scales on his body became even thicker. His fangs grew even longer. He actually fused with the genes of the wind god.
Pterodactyl and terror croc.
Did you see that? Liao Xiangcheng roared proudly. Anything you can think of, I've already thought of. Today is the day you die. He lunged at me with incredible speed. So fast it was shocking. Completely unlike what you'd expect from such a massive body. Razor-sharp fangs came straight from my neck. I stood perfectly still. Just as his fangs were about to reach me, I suddenly raised my front paw and slapped him hard across the face. A loud crack rang out. Half of Liao Xiangcheng's face was shattered by my slap. His massive body, like a kite with its string cut, was sent flying and crashed down dozens of meters away.
He hit the ground so hard he left a deep trench behind.
He lay there howling in pain. He couldn't believe that, after fusing so many fossil genes, he couldn't even survive one move from me. And with that little ability you dare show off in front of me. I walked toward him step by step. My eyes were full of disdain. You really thought just merging a few fossil genes means you're my equal? Every gene I've fused with has been carefully calibrated and fits together perfectly. You're just a jumbled up, mismatched monster. Liao Xiangcheng watched me approach, a vicious glint in his eyes. Suddenly he sprang up from the ground, opened his mouth, and spit a huge mouthful of dark green venom at me. The venom hit the ground, instantly corroding huge holes in the cement. Actually fused with the Komodo dragon's venomous genes too. But what he doesn't know is, I already fused with the honey badger's anti-venom genes. Komodo venom is nothing to me. Even king cobra venom is just like water to me. I stood my ground, letting the venom spray onto my scales, without even leaving a mark. Liao Xiangcheng saw this. His eyes went wide. He was utterly stunned. Impossible! This is impossible! There's no such thing as impossible. I suddenly charged forward and bit down hard on his neck. My massive jaws crushed down instantly, shattering his spine on the spot. His huge body convulsed wildly, his eyes filled with fear and despair. I didn't give him any chance to struggle. I jerked my head violently, ripping his body in half. Ding! Successfully killed the reborn elite mutant Liao Xiangcheng. Received 500 evolution points. Current evolution value 15,442,000. Ding! Unlocked poison immunity and berserk amplification. Double skills feels amazing. Instantly killed the resurrected Liao Xiangcheng. Also unlocked 2 new skills. Evolution value soared all at once. The surviving soldiers around me stared at me. One move, instant kill. The giant boar that was rampaging moments ago. Suddenly, a deafening cheer erupted. T-Rex is awesome. Mr. Silence is incredible. Wang Jun and Liang Zhenyu rushed over with their troops, looking at Liao Shangcheng's corpse on the ground. Both of them gasped in shock. They hadn't expected Liao Shangcheng had actually been reborn and became this powerful. Even more unexpected in my hands. He couldn't withstand a single move. I shook off the blood from my body, just as I was about to speak. A cold mechanical voice suddenly echoed in my mind. This voice was exactly the same as when Beast Transformation was activated. Global Evolution Announcement. Phase 1 Beast Transformation has ended. Phase 2 Starbeast Invasion about to begin. Countdown 72 hours. Rule: Starbeasts descend. Global hunt begins. Kill Starbeasts to unlock star-level genes. Ultimate evolution warning: after Starbeasts descend, mutants who haven't completed growth stage evolution will be automatically executed. This voice once again echoed in everyone's mind worldwide. The whole world erupted instantly. Everyone was stunned. Turns out the global beast transformation wasn't an ending at all. It was just the beginning. Starbeast invasion. There are actually alien beasts coming as well. And within 72 hours, mutants who haven't evolved to the growth stage will be directly executed. Ling Zhenyu and Wang Chun's faces instantly turned pale. They knew very well. Among the billions of mutants worldwide, less than 1 in 10,000 could reach the growth stage. This means after 72 hours, billions of people worldwide will be directly wiped out. I frowned deeply. In my previous life, I only survived for 2.5 years. Never got to see any Starbeast invasion. I was killed by a So. Didn't know anything about this. No wonder. A year after the beast transformation in my last life, the global population dropped by 90%. Turns out it wasn't because of mutual slaughter. It was because of the Starbeast invasion and the extermination rule. Just as everyone was plunged into panic, Nono suddenly tugged at my claw. She looked up at me with her small face. There was no fear in her eyes at all. Brother, don't be afraid. No matter what danger comes, I'll stay with you. We'll definitely make it through. Seeing my sister's determined gaze, my anxiety instantly calmed down. That's right. Last life, I managed to survive 2.5 years alone. This time, I have my sister. Allies and the top-tier fusion gene. Starbeasts? No big deal. Even if the King of Heaven came, I'd tear him apart in an instant. I lowered my head and rubbed her face with my snout, then said to Liang Zhenyu and Wang Jun in a deep voice, "Now isn't the time to panic. We still have 72 hours. We must do 2 things. First, spread the news of the Starbeast invasion. Let all humans and mutants know about the extermination rule. Think of every way to boost our strength. Second, to gather all available forces. Clear out the low-level mutant beasts around us. Help as many people as possible evolve to the growth stage. To handle the upcoming Starbeast invasion." Ling Zhenyu and Wang Jun immediately caught on. They exchanged glances and saw determination in each other's eyes. Understood. We'll get right onto it. The 2 of them sprang into action. Liang Zhenyu used all military channels, broadcasted the Starbeast invasion message to the nation and even worldwide. Wang Jun led his elite team, cooperating with me to clear out local mutant beast nests. For the next 3 days, I took Nono with me, nearly traversed all the forests around Dakun City. Any evil mutant beasts, any threatening beast groups, I wiped them all out. Any mutants with potential and proper intentions, I took them hunting with me to help them accumulate evolution value and push toward the growth stage. During these 3 days, I witnessed so many heart-wrenching moments. I encountered the little girl who, in my previous life as a snapping turtle, secretly fed me bread. She had become a Sika deer and was cornered in an alley by a pack of mutant wolves. I personally rescued her, killed those mutant wolves, and left enough food and evolution resources for her, making up for the regret of not repaying her last life. I encountered an elderly couple turned into rabbits. They guarded the kindergarten entrance, using their bodies to block mutant beasts, protecting the dozen kids inside. Even though they were badly wounded, they didn't retreat a single step. I helped them take care of the mutant beasts and left my gene blood behind, boosting their defenses. I also met my snapping turtle brother from my previous life, who hid with me in the sewers. He died protecting me, trampled by mutant boars. This time, I found him and took him hunting with me, helped him successfully evolve to growth stage. Over 3 days, I killed a total of 8 growth stage mutant beasts and over 100 elite mutants. My evolution value skyrocketed to 1,999/2000, just short of breaking through to 3rd tier growth stage. Around Dakun City, over 1,000 mutants, under my guidance, successfully evolved to the growth stage, escaping the extermination rule. Last second of the 72-hour countdown, the sky was once again dyed blood red. Countless black fissures appeared in skies across the world. Ear-piercing howls echoed from the cracks. Then, wave after wave of ferocious-looking new beasts covered in exoskeletons burst out from the fissures. The new beast invasion officially started. These new beasts, even at the lowest level, are as strong as ordinary mutants, with the higher ones rivaling peak growth stage, and they're countless in number, surging out of the fissures like a tidal wave, immediately launching attacks on the cities. Worldwide, gunfire and explosions broke out instantly. Here I stood atop the tallest building in Dakun City, watching the Starbeast hordes flooding from the fissures, with zero fear in my eyes, instead blazing with fighting spirit. Behind me stood Nono, Wang Jun, and Yang Zhenyu, along with over 1,000 growth stage mutants, and tens of thousands of fully armed soldiers. Everyone gripped their weapons tightly, gazes locked firmly on the invading new beast hordes. Brothers, I opened my mouth and let out a deafening roar, the sound spreading throughout the entire city. These alien scum want to steal our homeland and kill our families. Do you accept that? No, the thunderous response shook Dakun City to its core. Good, then follow me and tear these scum apart. Just as I finished speaking, I spread my wings and was the first to charge at the new beast herd. My 20-meter-long body shot forward like a cannonball, plunging right into the new herd. My powerful tail swept across violently. In an instant, over a dozen Starbeasts were smashed into pulp by me. Ding, successfully killed. A Tier 1 Starbeast, gained 1 evolution point. Current evolution points, 2,000/2000. Ding, evolution points maxed out. Evolved to mature form. Tier 3 Ding unlocked ultimate fusion skill. Prehistoric Overlord domain. In an instant, a force 10 times stronger than before surged throughout my entire body. My body expanded once again, growing directly from 20 meters to 30 meters. The scales on my body became as tough as black steel. The teeth in my mouth gleamed coldly. My bite force broke through 50 tons. I opened my mouth and let out a thunderous dragon roar. The prehistoric Overlord domain unfolded instantly, within a radius of 1 kilometer. All the Starbeasts were paralyzed by the domain's suppression, shivering all over, without even a shred of courage to resist, while the humans and mutants on our side, empowered by the domain, had their strength doubled. Shuang directly broke through to Tier 3 mature form, also unlocked the domain skill. We were absolutely invincible this round. I suddenly charged forward, slaughtering the Starbeast horde, biting one at a time, or smashing groups with a swipe of my claws. A sweep of my tail took out another large swath. Starbeast blood splattered all over me, and my evolution points skyrocketed. Nono followed right by my side. Earth wasn't even bothered to look for targets. Every strike smashed the skull of a Starbeast. She is no longer that little girl who just hid behind me and cried. She can now stand strong independently. She can fight side by side with me. Wang Jun and Lang Zhenyu led their soldiers, fully unleashing their firepower thanks to my domain, raining fierce attacks. Starbeasts fell in droves. The battle lasted a full day and night. When I tore apart the last Starbeast, the sky was already turning light. The defense line of Dakun City was held. We had won. Seeing Starbeast corpses everywhere, and watching the people beside me covered in wounds, but still smiling, I couldn't help but let out a triumphant roar to the sky. But right at this moment, from the largest crack in the sky, a terrifying roar suddenly erupted. An overwhelming pressure that made the entire earth tremble came pouring out from the crack. Immediately after, a gigantic starbeast over 100 meters long slowly emerged from the fissure, its body covered in thick exoskeleton armor, its 6 eyes filled with icy killing intent. This was indeed the leader of the Starbeast invasion, the king-level Starbeast. The moment it appeared, it unleashed a devastating laser toward the ground. Several buildings were instantly sliced in half by the laser, crashing down in ruins. Countless soldiers and mutated beings didn't even have time to scream before dying on the spot. Everyone, fall back! I roared instantly, shielding Chen Nuo behind me, and activated my prehistoric overlord domain, blocking its oppressive might completely. The strength of this king-level Starbeast far exceeded my expectations. Even with my current stage 3 mature form power, I felt tremendous pressure. The lowly native king-level Starbeast opened its mouth and spoke in a cold tone. You think you can stop the Star-Lord's conquest? Kneel down and accept your death. I can leave your body intact if you surrender our planet. I sneered coldly, full of contempt in my eyes, as if a piece of trash like you is worthy. Today I'll show you whose planet this truly is. I charged forward fiercely, sinking my teeth into its head. The king-level Starbeast roared back at me, swinging its massive scythe-like forelimbs, and slashed at me. We were instantly locked in a fierce battle. Its power was immense, its exoskeleton unbelievably tough. When I bit down, I could only leave a shallow mark. Its attacks were merciless. Just one scythe strike ripped through my scales. Blood gushed out immediately. After a few exchanges, I was already at a disadvantage. My body was covered in dozens of wounds. Seeing me wounded, Chen Nuo grew frantic, her eyes turning red with worry. She rushed in without hesitation, threw herself in front of me, and blocked the king-level Starbeast's deadly attack with her own body. Its scythe-like forelimb instantly pierced through her. Blood spurted out violently. Chen Nuo, my eyes went wide in fury. I let out a heart-wrenching roar. My heart felt like it was being torn apart. Don't be afraid, brother. Chen Nuo gazed at me, blood pouring from her mouth, but still managed to smile. I was able to protect you. Her body went limp and collapsed. The tardigrade's regeneration was useless against the king-level Starbeast's attack. It completely failed. Her wounds simply wouldn't heal. Seeing my sister on the verge of death, the last thread in my mind finally snapped. Scenes of her dying before me in my past life overlapped with the present moment. A searing hatred and pain instantly flooded my entire being. My body began a frenzied transformation. All the fused genes exploded forth at that moment. Tyrannosaurus, tardigrade, Dunkleosteus, Mosasaur, Quetzalcoatlus, pterosaur, Dinosuchus. The power of every ancient apex predator merged completely into one. Ding! Extreme emotional outburst detected in the host. Ultimate evolution unlocked. Successfully advanced to perfect form. Unlocked the ultimate full gene fusion form. My body surged from 30 to 100 meters tall, matching the king-level Starbeast. My wounds healed instantly. Chen Nuo was also enveloped by my domain. Her regeneration ability kicked in crazily. Her wounds began to heal visibly. I slowly raised my head, my crimson gaze fixed on the King Starbeast, and spoke in a voice straight from hell. You hurt my sister. You deserve to die. I lunged at him, moving faster than the speed of sound. Before the king-level Starbeast could react, I locked my jaws onto its neck. A tremendous biting force exploded, crushing straight through its indestructible exoskeleton and tearing into its vital spot. The king-level Starbeast let out a bone-chilling shriek and struggled desperately, but I refused to let go, giving him no chance to escape. With a powerful twist of my head, I ripped its head clean off. Ding! Successfully killed the king-level Starbeast. Star-class divine gene obtained. Ding! Global Starbeast invasion channels are now closed. Phase 1 of the invasion crisis is over. With the king-level Starbeast's death, the black fissures in the sky slowly began to close. The remaining Starbeasts lost their leader's command and were instantly routed and defeated, wiped out by the soldiers and mutated beings. The crisis was completely resolved. I landed on the ground immediately, returning to my normal size, and embraced Chen Nuo as she slowly opened her eyes. Chen Nuo reached out to touch my face, smiling as she said, "We won. Right? Right? We won." I held her tightly, my voice choked with emotion, unable to hold back my tears. This time I protected my sister. I didn't let the previous tragedy happen again. Lang Zhenyu and Wang Jun rushed over with their people, looking at the corpse of the King Starbeast on the ground, and realizing we were unharmed. Everyone erupted in a deafening cheer. In this war that determined Earth's survival, we had won. 3 months later, Earth welcomed a whole new order. Humans and mutants coexisted peacefully and built brand new homes. My sister and I returned to Kaiksu County, right beside our old house. We built a huge new home. Lang Zhenyu and Wang Jun became the leaders of the new order, leading humans and mutants to rebuild their world. My crocodile turtle brother, who hid with me in the sewers in our past life, became a forest reserve manager. The little girl who once fed me bread was brought here as well, and became Chen Nuo's best friend. Every Starbeast portal on Earth was closed. No alien monsters dared invade this planet again, and I became the guardian of this world. There was no more fighting or killing. Every day I watched the sunrise and sunset with my sister, and took her hunting in the forests and fishing by the sea, making up for all our past regrets. That evening, Nuo and I sat on the cliff by the sea, watching the sun set into the ocean. The sea breeze gently brushed by. Nuo leaned against me and quietly said, "Brother, do you think there will be danger again?" I lowered my head and rubbed hers, smiling. "No matter what danger comes, I'll always be by your side. Even if the sky falls, your brother will hold it up for you." Nuo smiled and hugged my arm tightly. The soft glow of sunset bathed us, warm and peaceful. In my past life, I was a crocodile turtle hiding in a sewer, barely surviving 2.5 years, until dying with regrets. In this life, I was reborn as a T-Rex. Not only did I protect my sister, I also guarded this planet, and became someone I'd never dared to even imagine. My legend isn't over yet, and this time, I won't leave any more regrets.